Productivity is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters with intensity, clarity, and precision. It's about learning the art of execution, not the addiction to motion. Because there's a world of difference between being busy and being effective. One drains you, the other builds you. One is noise. The other is power. Most people live in a haze of distraction, disguised as diligence. They confuse movement for momentum. They chase the urgent and neglect the important. They spin their wheels all day and collapse at night, wondering why they never feel fulfilled. But if you want to rise above that chaos, if you want to become the kind of person whose hours are an asset, not a burden, if you want to work with focus so sharp it slices through noise, you need to live by rules. Not rules that confine, but rules that free. Rules that strip away the unnecessary, that cut through the clutter, that give your life structure, rhythm, fire. Because a powerful life is not built on occasional motivation. It is built on consistent execution. And consistency is born from clarity. So what are the rules? Rule number 1, clarity over chaos. You don't start your day asking, what should I do? You start it declaring, this is what must be done. Because clarity is the oxygen of productivity. You cannot hit targets you don't define. You cannot build momentum around ambiguity. Every night, every morning, define the win. Decide the outcome. Write it. See it. Own it. If your schedule doesn't reflect your goals, your schedule is a lie. Rule number 2, kill distractions ruthlessly. Your phone is not neutral. It is a thief, a silent assassin of focus. And if you do not control it, it controls you. You cannot build an empire in between notifications. You cannot do deep work while skimming shallow feeds. Silence the noise. Shut the doors. Create a space where the world cannot reach you. You don't owe access to everyone. You owe greatness to yourself. Rule number 3, own your mornings. You want a productive life? Then win the first hour. Don't wake up reacting. Don't check your phone. Don't dive into tasks. Own your thoughts. Own your breath. Own your direction. When you start the day anchored, the storms of life have less power. Productivity is not just about doing. It's about becoming the kind of person who does what matters in command. Rule number 4, one focus at a time. Multitasking is a myth. It's a masquerade of momentum. It splits your attention and fractures your execution. The mind, like a blade, cuts deepest when it's pointed. So point it. One task, one sprint, one focus. And give it everything. Rule number 5, measure what matters. What gets tracked gets improved. You cannot manage what you don't measure. Track your progress. Review your week. Audit your distractions. Become obsessed not with perfection, but with progress. Numbers don't lie. Patterns don't hide. Look at the truth. Adjust with power. Execute with purpose. Rule number 6, protect your energy. Your energy is your edge. No clarity, no execution. No fuel, no fire. Guard your sleep. Move your body. Eat like your dreams depend on it, because they do. Burnout isn't a badge of honor. It's a sign you've betrayed your rhythm. Work in waves. Rest with intention. Recover like a professional. Because if you don't make time for health, you will be forced to make time for illness. Rule number 7, say no more often. Every yes is a no to something else. So if you're saying yes to meetings, favors, or distractions that don't serve your highest vision, you're saying no to your purpose. Be brutal with boundaries. Productivity is not about doing everything. It's about doing the essential with relentless discipline. Rule number 8, time block like a master. You don't find time. You create it. Block it. Schedule it. Honor it like a meeting with your future. Your calendar is not just a tool, it's a mirror of your priorities. Fill it with what matters. And then defend it like your life depends on it, because it does. Rule number 9, finish what you start. Start less. Finish more. The graveyard of potential is full of half-built dreams. When you begin, commit. Don't dabble. Don't drift. Don't wait for it to be easy. Push. Close. Deliver. Completion is the currency of the productive. Rule number 10. Live with urgency, not anxiety. Urgency. Act like your time is limited because it is. Act like your dreams have a deadline because they do. Too many people live like they have forever, while their greatness waits unlived. You don't need more time. You need to use the time you have like it matters, because it does. And when you live by these rules not as theory, but as law, you'll begin to notice something. Your days start moving with rhythm. Your energy starts multiplying. Your results start compounding. And you no longer just work hard. You work effectively, intentionally, productively. Because you've chosen to build a life not filled with endless motion, but with meaningful momentum. You see, productivity isn't about time management. It's about self-mastery. Because time is fixed, but you are flexible. You are adaptable. You are expandable. And the most productive people in the world aren't bound by more hours in the day. They're bound by fewer compromises in the day. They don't have more time. They have more truth. Truth about what matters. Truth about what doesn't. Truth about who they are, what they want, and what they refuse to allow anymore. And if you want to level up your productivity truly, deeply, permanently, this isn't about software. It's about standards. Raise them. Raise your standards for what gets your time. Raise your standards for what gets your energy. Raise your standards for who gets your focus, who gets your yes, and most of all, who gets to interrupt the mission. Because most people aren't overworked, they're overcommitted to the wrong things. Saying yes to everyone and everything except the person in the mirror. So, let's rewrite that. Let's make a new contract. One where your calendar reflects your values, not your fears. One where your to-do list isn't 50 lines of busy, but 5 targets with power. One where your identity is built on the execution of your mission, not the illusion of motion. Because what you touch, you shape. And if all you ever touch is distraction, you will become it. But if you touch focus, you become focused. If you touch clarity, you become clear. If you touch discipline, you become the kind of person who finishes. And here's the beautiful truth about productivity that no one talks about. The moment you stop chasing everything, you start building something. And when you build something, the world moves for you. Opportunities open. Time expands. People align. Why? Because clarity attracts momentum. Discipline attracts support. And execution attracts impact. You don't need to prove you're busy. You need to prove that you're aligned, that your inputs match your goals, that your time matches your truth. And when that happens, productivity becomes effortless. Not because it's easy, but because it's natural, because it's no longer what you're doing. It's who you are now. You've become someone who doesn't negotiate with excuses, someone who doesn't lose hours in the scroll, someone who doesn't just write goals, but embodies them. And that shift is the difference between being remembered for your effort or for your effect. Because once you start living this way, once you start building your days from intention, not impulse, everything changes. You begin to recognize distractions for what they are, thieves in disguise. They wear the mask of urgency. They speak with the voice of just 5 minutes, but they are robbers of destiny. And you become the one who locks the door, not with bitterness, but with boundaries. You understand now, not every message needs a reply. Not every opportunity is your assignment. Not every request is your responsibility. Because productivity is about the precise use of your life. And your life is too important to spend on things that don't build it. So you go deeper. You remove the fluff. You strip it down to what matters: impact, vision, progress, purpose. You stop trying to feel productive, and instead you become undeniable. You become the kind of person who others trust not just because you show up, but because when you do, things move. You're not in motion. You're in command. You're not reacting, you're executing. And now you see time differently. You don't say, I don't have time. You say, that's not a priority. You don't say, I'm too busy. You say, that doesn't belong in my life, because your calendar is now a contract with your greatness. Every block of time is a brick in your legacy. Every protected hour is a step closer to mastery. And mastery? Mastery belongs to those who are no longer seduced by distractions, to those who've tasted the freedom of focus, to those who rise every day with a plan, a fire, and a non-negotiable standard. That's who you are now. Not someone trying to keep up, but someone who sets the pace, someone who designs their week with the precision of a builder, who tracks their progress like a scientist, who moves like a lion, silent, focused, dangerous to anything that tries to slow them down. This is your edge now. Not just time management, but mindset mastery. Not just productivity, but power in motion. Because now, your habits are hardwired. Your routines are sacred. Your standards are untouchable. And your execution? Unmatched. You no longer seek permission to focus. You don't apologize for your priorities. You don't explain why you're unavailable for distractions that once drained you. Because now, you're walking in alignment. And alignment is magnetic. It pulls people into your gravity. It pulls opportunities into your orbit. Because when you live like your time is sacred, others start to treat it that way too. And that's the hidden truth about productivity. It's not about being fast. It's about being faithful. Faithful to the thing that matters. Faithful to the thing you said you would build. Faithful to your highest standard, not just your current mood. You want to get more done? Get clear on your why. Because a man or woman on fire does not waste their time. They don't wander from tab to tab, from app to app, from drama to drama. They build. And every action becomes a brick in the temple of their legacy. They've replaced urgency with strategy. They've traded overwhelm for ownership. And in a world chasing hacks and shortcuts, they've chosen the one path that never fails. Deliberate consistency. The kind of consistency that wakes up with a plan. That blocks time before it leaks away. That respects rest not as laziness, but as leverage. Because rest, when intentional, multiplies power. Because silence, when protected, renews focus. And because boundaries, when honored, create freedom. So don't let the culture of constant motion fool you. You don't win by doing the most. You win by doing what matters and doing it with so much clarity, intensity, and consistency that results become inevitable. This is what you're building now. A life that isn't reactive but rhythmic. Not frantic but focused. Not full of tasks but rich in transformation. And you don't just measure your productivity by what you got done. You measure it by how closely you lived to your values, by how clearly you acted from purpose, by how relentlessly you protected your mission. Because in the end, the most productive life isn't the busiest one. It's the one that day after day, step after step, hour after hour, builds what truly matters. And what truly matters can't be faked. It can't be rushed. It can't be downloaded, copied, or cut and pasted. It must be forged, hour by hour, block by block, sacrificing convenience in exchange for clarity, turning away from what is easy so you can become what is essential. Because the most powerful people in the world don't move faster than you. They move with more intention than you. They don't have more time. They just have fewer leaks. They've built a fortress around their priorities. And inside that fortress, they build what the world will one day call genius. But genius doesn't arrive in a flash. It shows up in routines, in the rituals that no one sees, in the deep work that never makes it to social media. And you've stepped into that level now, where your productivity is no longer measured by the length of your to-do list, but by the depth of your results, where you no longer chase tasks, you hunt outcomes. You no longer wait for motivation. You deploy discipline. You no longer explain your ambition to people who don't understand it. Because now, you've got something they don't. You've got focus, the rarest energy in the world. And here's what happens next. That focus becomes flow. That flow becomes confidence. That confidence becomes calm. Not because life gets easier, but because you've mastered the edge between chaos and clarity, between busy and brilliant, between ambition and execution. And it all began the moment you stopped living from a place of urgency and started operating from a place of alignment. That's what these rules were never really about. Not about time, about truth, about becoming someone who does the right things at the right time, for the right reasons, with the right energy. And once you become that person, there is nothing you cannot build, nothing you cannot move, nothing you cannot become. Because becoming that person isn't a dream anymore, it's your decision every single day. And that's the final rule. Not written in ink, but in the blood, sweat, and breath of the doers. Rule 11, become the system. You don't rely on motivation anymore. You don't wait for the right conditions. You are the system. You are the engine. You are the rhythm. You are the standard. You are the one who wakes up early not because it's cool, but because it's necessary. You are the one who turns down distractions not because it's easy, but because your vision demands it. You are the one who blocks your calendar like your legacy depends on it, because it does. Every minute, every rep, every moment of focus compounds. Every small choice becomes a powerful echo. And over time, you become unrecognizable to the version of you who once wasted days. The version of you who once lived in reaction, who once postponed power, delayed destiny, and negotiated with excuses. That version is gone now. What stands in its place is your refined, focused, committed, fierce you, who knows that productivity is not about managing tasks, it's about managing who you are becoming. You who wakes up with clarity, executes with excellence, and sleeps with peace. You who doesn't run from pressure but performs in it. Who doesn't fear time but commands it. And when they ask you, how did you do it? How did you build all of this? How did you stay so disciplined? You won't give them hype. You'll give them truth. You'll say, I lived by a different set of rules. I traded excuses for execution. I turned time into an asset. I became someone who doesn't just work hard, I works wisely. I built a life around what matters and I protected it like my future depended on it. Because it did. And now, I don't have to chase success. I am success. That's the power of living productively. That's the result of 10 rules, lived with 100% conviction. This is what happens when you stop counting hours and start making hours count. There is a silent assassin in your life. It's not loud. It doesn't scream. It doesn't crash into your world like chaos. It whispers. It tiptoes. It hides behind good intentions and camouflages itself as logic. I'll do it tomorrow. I just need a little more time. I'll start when it feels right. And without warning, days vanish, weeks blur, dreams stall, and the life you were meant to live stays just out of reach. This assassin has a name: procrastination. And if you don't confront it now, it will become your prison. Because procrastination isn't just a time thief. It's a purpose killer. It doesn't just delay your actions. It decays your identity. Every time you choose comfort over commitment, you send a signal to your subconscious. I don't follow through. I don't finish. I don't deserve it. And that signal becomes your story. But not today. Because today is the day you take the pen back. Today is the day you stop negotiating with hesitation. Today is the day you stop asking time for permission and start taking command of your destiny. Let's begin here. Clarity. Procrastination thrives in confusion. When you don't know what matters most, everything feels urgent and nothing gets done. You wake up reactive instead of relentless. You drown in distraction, paralyzed by the illusion of options. Clarity is the antidote. Clarity is fire. It burns away the fog. It says, here's what I'm building. Here's why it matters. Here is what I must do today. You don't need more time. You need more focus. Don't wake up asking, what should I do? Wake up declaring, this is what I will do. Decide the night before. Plan your power hours. Set the battlefield before you fight. Because every minute spent in confusion costs you hours in correction. Then comes your identity. Procrastination is not just a behavior, it's a reflection of belief. The person who sees themselves as average will delay. The person who doubts their worth will stall. The person who fears their greatness will hide behind busywork. You don't just need to act differently, you need to become someone new. Start telling yourself the truth. You are disciplined. You are decisive. You are done living in the land of almost. Speak that truth before you feel it. Move from that truth before you see it. Because your life rises to the level of your self-concept. And if you don't upgrade the image in the mirror, you'll keep repeating yesterday's delays in tomorrow's frame. Next, destroy the myth of motivation. You've been waiting to feel ready, inspired, energized. But here's the truth. Motivation is a mirage. It vanishes the moment you chase it. The successful are not the most motivated. They are the most structured. They don't feel their way into action. They act their way into flow. Start ugly. Start messy. Start unsure. But start. Because once momentum kicks in, motivation shows up like a shadow. It follows movement. It follows you. Now, shift your environment. Your space is either an ally or an enemy. And the subtle clutter around you becomes the invisible friction that stops you before you begin. Clear it. Simplify it. Design your space to make the right action the default action. If you want to write, open your notes, close your tabs, put the phone away, and face the page. If you want to move your body, put your shoes where you'll trip over them. If you want to build a business, delete the apps that whisper lies of comparison and distraction. Create an environment that doesn't just inspire you, but forces you to win. And now shrink the target. The mind resists massive. It fears failure. It shuts down when faced with the overwhelming. So don't try to climb the whole mountain in one breath. Shrink the task until it's laughably doable. Don't write a book. Write a sentence. Don't run 5 miles, walk to the door. Don't build an empire. Make one call. And once you're moving, don't stop. Because the hardest part is always the start. Overcome the friction of beginning and momentum becomes your ally. Then, raise the stakes. Comfort is cheap. Pain is powerful. Attach real consequence to delay. Make it cost you. Announce your deadline. Set a challenge. Put money on the line. Make the price of inaction higher than the fear of imperfection. Accountability sharpens the sword. You don't need more comfort. You need a reason that makes quitting feel like betrayal. And while you're at, to eliminate the lie of multitasking. You think you're productive. You're just distracted with flair. The brain does not switch cleanly. Every interruption leaks your focus. Every toggle burns your energy. Every quick check on your phone is a thief with a smile. The boldest thing you can do is go deep. One task, one block of time, one priority, and defend it like your life depends on it. Because the life you want does. And now let's get uncomfortable. Procrastination is often pain avoidance, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of starting and discovering you're not as good as you hoped. But here's what the bold know. Pain is not the enemy. Avoidance is. Whatever you avoid grows. Whatever you face weakens. Stop waiting to stop being afraid. Run toward it. Write while scared. Speak while shaking. Launch while uncertain. Because growth lives on the other side of discomfort. And now for the final strike. Forgive yourself. Yes, you've delayed. Yes, you've wasted time, but that's over now. Shame only fuels the cycle. Release it. Wipe the slate. Say out loud, that was the old me. I'm not that person anymore. And then act like it. The new you doesn't wait. The new you moves. Not tomorrow. Not when it's perfect. Not when it's comfortable. Right now. Because every second you delay, the life you were born to live slips further away. And every second you act, you reclaim it. So don't wait. Don't scroll. Don't pause. Decide. Move. Finish. Because this world doesn't need more potential. It needs more people who execute. And from this day forward, that's you. No more stalling. No more excuses. No more halfway living. Because you've seen the cost of delay and you're done paying it. Procrastination dies here. And purpose begins. And purpose, when awakened, is a force that refuses to be silenced. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for validation. It doesn't care if the timing is perfect or the path is paved. It burns. And once it starts burning, everything changes. You begin to feel it in your bones, the quiet pressure of knowing that you are not here to coast, that you are not here to stay stuck, that there is work in this world only you can do, voices only you can reach, impact only you can make. And that work won't get done by someone who's waiting for a better mood. That work won't be done by someone who gives in to the softness of delay. It demands someone awake, someone alive, someone who has looked procrastination in the face and said no more. Because purpose isn't found. It's forged. Forged in action. Forged in urgency. Forged in the moments when everything in you screams to wait and you move anyway. That's the moment procrastination breaks. That's the moment the chains fall off. Not in the victory in the choice. In that first micro decision to act now, to write now, to speak now, to start now, not later, not when the stars align, now, because now is all you have. And here's the paradox. The more you do now, the more time expands for you. Momentum makes minutes stretch. Urgency sharpens focus. Execution collapses the timeline between vision and reality. The person who acts consistently outpaces the person who waits perfectly every time. So if you want to live different, stop thinking different and start moving different. Don't say, I need to figure it out. Say, I need to take one step. Don't say, I'll do it when I'm ready. Say, I'm ready because I'm willing. Because readiness is not a feeling. Readiness is a decision. And when you decide fully, something powerful happens. Distractions begin to lose their hold. The noise around you fades. You don't crave dopamine, you crave progress. You start to see your time as sacred, your attention as valuable, your vision as urgent. You become allergic to delay, and your life begins to align. Your calendar starts to reflect your values. Your routines start to shape your identity. Your days stop blurring and start building. And suddenly, you become that rare person, the one who finishes, the one who doesn't talk about it, the one who doesn't wait for the mood to strike, the one who takes the mountain one step at a time, no matter how steep it gets. You become the example. You become the evidence. You become the living, breathing proof that procrastination can be unlearned. And discipline? Discipline can be chosen. Every day. Even now. So choose. Even if your heart is racing. Even if your hands are shaking. Even if your track record is filled with broken promises to yourself. Choose. Because the power isn't in how long you've waited, it's in how quickly you can shift. Right now, in this moment, you can become someone who moves. And when you move, momentum follows. When you commit, clarity rises. When you execute, identity changes. And when your identity changes, procrastination becomes foreign. It becomes unnatural. It becomes unacceptable. You don't have to be perfect to stop procrastinating. You just have to be persistent, relentless in action, addicted to execution, in love with follow-through, and allergic to excuses. That is who you are now. Not someone who waits, not someone who wonders, not someone who almost. You are someone who finishes because the work is too important. The mission is too vital, and your time, your life is too sacred to waste another second in the shadows of hesitation. You are here to build, to move, to act. Procrastination doesn't belong here anymore. It doesn't own you. It never did. You've outgrown it. You've exposed it. You've stripped it of its lies. And now all that's left is action. Bold, deliberate, imperfect action. Not once, but daily. Because habits are not what you do occasionally. They are what you do relentlessly. And from this moment on, the only habit you serve is the one that honors your greatness. You begin. You move. You complete. Because that's who you are now. And that's how you'll win, not eventually. Now, and as you keep showing up, as you keep pushing through the static, the excuses, the impulses, you begin to tap into a rhythm deeper than motivation, a force stronger than fleeting energy. You begin to activate momentum. Momentum is not just forward movement. It's the momentum of belief, of identity, of becoming. Every task you finish, every deadline you meet, every I don't feel like it that you override with action builds a wall of integrity brick by brick. You don't need to shout to the world you're changing. You're showing them quietly, boldly, consistently. The most powerful people aren't the loudest. They're the ones who keep their promises to themselves. So ask yourself, what promise have you been breaking? What vision have you been betraying with every I'll do it later? Because this isn't about productivity anymore. It's about self-respect. Every time you procrastinate, you negotiate your greatness for comfort. You trade legacy for laziness. You settle for one day when day one is sitting in front of you. But now you're done with the negotiation. Now you're committed, not to everything, but to what matters. This is the art of essentialism. Choosing what truly matters and ruthlessly eliminating what doesn't. Not everything is urgent. Not everything is yours to carry. Procrastination often disguises itself as productivity by filling your plate with non-essential tasks. So you stay busy, you stay in motion, but you never move forward. Being busy is not the same as being bold. Being occupied is not the same as being effective. The person who stops procrastinating doesn't just do more. They do less, more deeply, more intentionally. They don't live by to-do lists. They live by done lists. They don't chase dopamine. They chase discipline. Because when you start completing the things that matter most, you stop needing to do a million things that don't. And here's the truth they don't teach in schools. Finishing builds confidence. Completion builds courage. Every task you complete is not just an outcome. It's a brick in the house of your identity. You want to believe in yourself? Finish what you start. You want to build unshakable faith? Be the kind of person who does what they said they would do even when no one is watching. Especially when no one is watching. Because it's easy to perform when there's applause. It's rare to show up when the room is silent. But the rare ones, they're the ones the world remembers. And you are rare. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. You wouldn't be listening if something deep in your soul didn't know that now is your time. That the days of delay are over. That your dreams can no longer afford to wait on your indecision. That the price of comfort is far too high when it's costing you your calling. So what now? You simplify. You clarify. You execute. No more overthinking. Overthinking is just a high-functioning form of procrastination. You don't need another strategy. You need movement. You don't need more research. You need resolve. You don't need to feel ready. You need to remember who you are. You are not a slave to hesitation. You are not a victim of time. You are not an almost. You are a finisher, a force, a decision maker. the one who shifts the atmosphere by walking in bold, clear, decisive action. Not later. Now. You win now. One block of focus at a time. 1 hour of deep work at a time. One decision to honor your calling over and over again until your results are undeniable. Because procrastination is loud at first, but discipline makes it silent. When you become the person who acts before they feel like it, procrastination doesn't even try anymore. It knows your name is not maybe. Your name is movement. And your life, it becomes a masterpiece of momentum. Not by chance, but by choice. And that choice begins again every day, starting now. And with every new day, the war begins again. Not out there and here, within your mind, between the voice of hesitation and the roar of resolve, between the craving for ease and the hunger for excellence. This battle doesn't get easier, but you get stronger, because strength is not avoiding the fight, it's facing it daily, quietly, ruthlessly, with the full force of your future on the line. That's what makes greatness rare. Not talent, not luck, consistency. Consistency is the invisible power the world underestimates. It doesn't dazzle, it doesn't go viral, but it wins. It is the hammer that breaks the wall of delay. It is the scalpel that cuts through resistance. It is the fire you build when there is no spark, just discipline, sweat, and a calendar that reflects who you said you'd be. Because listen, you cannot rise to a life you refuse to schedule. You cannot step into power while still clinging to passivity. And you cannot overcome procrastination if you continue to romance it. Stop dating your delay. Break up with the idea that inspiration is required. It's not. What's required is decision. A decision backed by action. Not once, but again and again and again. You build your life in the same place you've been breaking it in your choices. And now you get to choose something better. Choose the harder path that leads to higher ground. Choose the disciplined hour that unlocks destiny. Choose to show up when you have every reason not to, and in that moment, you become untouchable, unstoppable, because your soul is no longer for sale. You no longer trade your integrity for the illusion of later. You no longer barter your mission for the empty comfort of distraction. You act, and your actions build a reputation not just in the world, but in your mind. When your mind starts believing, I finish, I follow through, I execute, the world starts believing it too. Opportunities knock. Doors open. Not because you're lucky, but because you're ready. Prepared through repetition. Prepared through discipline. Prepared through the daily slaying of procrastination, one completed action at a time. You become a magnet to success, not because you chase it, but because you become worthy of it. Your consistency speaks louder than talent. Your follow-through drowns out your past failures. Your actions announce your arrival not with noise, but with results. And the more you act, the less you wait. You stop needing perfect. You stop worshiping potential. You stop living in pause and start living in power. And here's what they don't tell you. The moment you choose that path, life will respond. Momentum will wake up. Clarity will find you. Courage will meet you on the other side of action. You'll realize everything you were waiting for was already inside you. It just needed proof. Not proof through theory, through motion. Through a life no longer defined by the space between intention and execution, but a life aligned. A life lit up with fire and focus and the fierce conviction of someone who no longer tolerates delay. Because you don't have to wait for a new year. You don't have to wait for rock bottom. You don't have to wait for some breakthrough moment. The breakthrough is the moment you stop waiting. And if you're still breathing, it's not too late. If your heart is still beating, your dream is still alive. And if your soul is still whispering, start now, then your only job is to listen and obey. Because this is how procrastination dies. Not with guilt, not with shame, but with 1,000 small acts of defiance, with 1,000 quiet moments of, I did it anyway, with one action, repeated daily, until the habit is stronger than the hesitation. You want to change your life? Start small. Start now. Start again. And never stop. Because you don't get to choose your future. You only choose your habits. And your habits choose your future. So choose boldly. Choose urgently. Choose like your legacy depends on it, because it does.